Welcome back, everybody, to Sea Otter Town Hall. My name is Dylan Krasinski. This is your little brother's favorite podcast. Your mom will hate it, but your little brother will like it. So we are here every week with our guests where they tell the stories that they might be embarrassed of, they might love, they might be proud of, but they're the craziest stories in their lives. I am Dylan Krasinski, here as always with my co-host, Michael Kerrigan. Say hello, baby.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
As always, this episode is out every single Wednesday. Rate, review, and subscribe. Full episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We put the clips up, you know the deal, on TikTok and Instagram. The YouTube is growing, baby. We're here for it. Thanks for subscribing. If you're new, keep listening, and we appreciate it. And, dude, very exciting stuff today. Yep. We got a hot one for you. Super happy to have this guest here today. He's been on Gotham Comedy Live, Comedy Central, Adult Swim, has 2 albums out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the pod, John Campanelli.
Thank you, everybody. And if you're watching this, I've been kidnapped. I don't know who these men are or what they even want. I don't know if there's ransom or if this is just for play. But clearly, I'm in between the two of them on a couch, and it's a little. I'm just kidding. Actually, thank you guys for having me. And also, I'll tell you what, they made me tea.
Yeah, I think the biggest compliment that you could have said when you walked into my apartment, you said, "Huh, it's not as bad as I thought it would be."
Your apartment, yeah, no,
huge win.
It looks great. You have pots that so. They have like pots and pans that are like hanging, like they have them like hanging, like organized, which typically you wouldn't expect, you know, which is nice. And then you made me tea, which, you know, that's something I should start putting in my rider.
Yeah,
you know,
English
my
breakfast.
Podcast rider. I want English breakfast tea. Puts me in a great mood, and I'm excited to do the podcast.
Yeah, we're trying to class it up. You know what I mean?
You really are.
A lot of trash.
I did notice that you're a tea drinker where you keep the bag in. I take the bag out.
You know, because I'm not really a tea drinker, so I don't have the etiquette there. But you seem to be a little more into it.
You know, I
obviously.
don't know. I just always take the bag out. I let it steep, and then I feel like weird adding milk and Splenda, which I always do to my tea and coffee.
Let's back it up with adding milk, because let's get back to reality. It's half and half.
Yeah,
okay,
that's a normal thing to add to coffee.
To coffee, not to tea.
Well, to tea, yeah. When you're from Long Island, you add half and half to everything.
See, this is only airing in London, by the way, back in the 1940s.
Yeah, that's where like the elegance of tea becomes trash when you add half and half.
No, I think it's totally normal, dude.
No, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's trashy.
Although I will say that I wasn't the biggest fan of the fact that like you had to clean, because as nice as this place is, you had to clean the cups out, but like with the sponge, and I'm like, is this even a clean sponge? So a part of me was like, I mean, I didn't think that through. It seems like, you know, kind of clean in here, but the cups do look clean. But usually when someone's like, you want something, then they have to clean it out with a sponge. I'm like, I was actually almost like, you know what, I think I'm good. I'll just stick to water. But,
you know, we did have one of our last guests said the exact same thing because
I
only
be cleaning it out. Don't be cleaning it out in front of me.
Listen, dude, I only have
just
2.
serve them in the dirty mug and don't say anything.
Honestly, that would have made me feel more comfortable.
It's better for the psychological. They don't know.
That's all it is,
so
psychological.
Crazy. We only have 2 coffee mugs.
Or open up a new sponge just for me, and I would go, wow, okay.
Yeah, that's
impressive.
I knew you were bougie, John, but I had no idea that you were this bougie.
I mean, we should have them over at my place, and this is like a luxury apartment.
Yeah, no. I'm not going to complain. I've definitely been to worse. This is great.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. Usually guests come on and shit on the entire place, so this is normal.
Nice.
This is normal for the pod.
So let's talk to the audience a little bit about where you're from, where you started comedy.
Yeah, so you recently moved to New York or back to New York, but you were in LA for a long time. Did you started in New York and then went to
Nope. I did. I started. So I'm from New York. I'm from Westchester, and I started in LA. I moved to LA in 2009. I got a job at TV Guide Network. I worked there for a year. It was a great job. I produced some segments for television on the show Hollywood 411. I interviewed on the red carpet a bunch. It was a great first job. Gave me a lay of the land. I knew I wanted to do stand-up. So after a year, I left it, and I just went to my first open mic. So I started April 2010. The reason that, do I regret it? I don't think so. The reason that I decided to move to LA and start in LA instead of New York was because I really felt like people weren't, I had a lot of friends and I have family. I felt if I started in New York, I wouldn't have taken it seriously. My friends wouldn't have allowed me to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. They probably would have come to open mics with me, heckled me, we would have gone out and got drunk after. And I think it would have, when I was in LA by myself, I moved across the country by myself. I left a good situation. And, I was alone there. So I was like, I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. So I really, really focused. I mean, I committed. And I went like, no, I'm doing this. I think in New York, I would have maybe not been as, or maybe who knows, I would have done it and then just dipped out for a couple months and dipped back in. I just didn't think I would be able to focus and take it as seriously.
No, that's a good point. That is a big thing with like when people, you have to like leave your hometown, whatever that is, whether that's in New York City, whether that's LA, whether that's in the middle of like Idaho. You got to get out. You have to, when I went to law school, I felt that too. I had to get out of the Albany
Makes you hungrier.
area.
Makes you hungrier.
Yeah. That's, amen. That's what because then you have friends, right? Mike's got a ton of friends who stayed in the hometown. And then you just, they end up getting arrested or just divorced. Who knows? But yeah, dude, that's what I wanted to talk to you about is being in LA, because you've told me some stories, but I wanted to get into like that LA, because I know you've worked with some pretty, the biggest name in comedy. You opened for Dane Cook for...
I did. I went on a crazy tour with him.
A while.
What Dane Cook years was this? Was this Tourgasm or after?
No. This was definitely much farther after. Dane was one of my good friends. I still talk to him all the time. Probably I became friends with him when I was like I don't even think I was a year in. Maybe a year in. And funny, Al Del Benny, whom I love, is and him and Dane were high school friends, but also, so Al toured with Dane for years, and Al had stopped doing comedy kind of, and Dane actually took a year off of comedy. He had actually stopped doing comedy for a while. Both of them had. Al had gotten back into it, and Al saw me at like some of the smaller clubs because he was trying to get his, back into it. So I think it was like, at the Ha at the time, and he was like, he saw me go up, and he was like, "Oh, nice East Coast Italian guy, I like you." And I just would run into him, and then he calls me up, and he was like, "Hey," he was playing John Lovett's comedy club. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Hey, I'm just getting back into it. Lovett's gave me a night. I didn't know I had to book an opener or feature. I don't even know who else to call. Are you available?" And I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy." I go, "Yeah." Now, yeah, I wasn't even a year in, and he wanted me to do 25. So I went there, I did it, and he goes,
"Did you do the 25?
Yeah, he goes,
"Yeah.
Wow, that was better than I thought, man. You really were able to hang." Well, because he knew how long I've been doing it. He's like, "You were really able to hang like that." I'm impressed. And I was like, "Thanks." And then, because of him, I started hanging out with him a lot, and then I would meet Dane because of him. Mm-hmm. And then Al was like, "Do you write?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You strike me as a writer." And then him and I worked on something for NBC that Dane was involved in. And nothing ended up coming of it, but it was a really cool. And then me and Dane and Al all became friends. And I became friends with Dane. And then he came back into comedy. And so I would just go around with him when he started getting back into it. And then, we became very close. And he, I did tons of shows with him. He took me on a Just for Laughs tour. It was East Coast to West Coast, Canada. It was, we played every city. And I don't even know, 24 different cities and 22 nights or something like that. Or I don't even remember, but it was arenas and theaters, and it was just a surreal.
So at this point, he's doing arenas and theaters when you're with him.
Yeah. And then I played sold out Beacon Theater with him at the New York Comedy Festival.
That's insane. I
came out just, it was one of the best sets I've ever had. And it was electric. And that was, that was like 2016 when I toured with him there. And then I did shows, for years before that with him. So it was great.
Damn. I seen Dane at his height when he was doing the arenas. Those 360 arenas. It was the year before a year or two before I started doing comedy. I think I was thinking about it.
Really? I was in high school when he was doing it.
I went with my buddies. They had tickets, and we had the pretty bad tickets up in the third, way up in the, I'd never seen comedy like that. And I remember being like, I don't really like this, because you could hear, they would be laughing, and you could hear the laughs coming before you heard his joke somehow through the echo.
Oh, wow.
And it had like a sports trashness to it. Like people were there drinking. Dude, this kid started making out. This is where I was like, this is garbage. Is he starts making out with his girlfriend and he had a full,
Boston too. I could just
full
picture this.
dip in his mouth.
I
looked at his
I knew you were
girl
gonna
and
say
I was
something
like, this is a disgrace. Have some self-respect.
So funny.
You know, it was like where you see like people like taking their shirts off. I'm like, this is a comedy show.
Yeah,
But
treating
he
him like
was-
the Beatles.
This was when he was at superstar height.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen Dane a little bit earlier because I came up in Boston and I asked people about him. And they were like, dude, nobody could follow Dane when he was coming up in my circuit.
What I really heard about him even in LA, because, you know, I only met him 2000, maybe it was 2000. No, it was earlier than 2011. It might have been around 2011, you know, give or take. And I mean, 2010 probably. So what people were saying is that, like, yeah, watching him was just, you know, incredible. Like, he just, like you're saying, like, no, people hadn't really seen anyone crush like that.
I came up in, what was the name of the room? The Comedy Vault? Dick Doherty's Comedy Vault. So it would have been...
Dick Doherty's, yeah.
Well, when I came into the scene, like a lot of these things that were even big, they were on their way out probably to them, like burning them. And Dane, they were probably like, this place is on its way out. When I came in, it was like on fumes.
It's just
you know what I mean? But like I remember hearing a story from, I think it was Patrice or Bill Burr or someone telling, he goes, dude, when he was coming to the Comedy Vault, first of all, he was drawing already.
Right.
Like, you know, 30 people, party atmosphere. He's like, Patrice couldn't come close. Bill Burr, they were like, they didn't want to. They were like, dude, all right, you know, I just don't want to let us get on first. And
Boston, that generation, man.
lot of good comics.
Burr, Patrice,
Yep.
Louis.
Dane, Louis, right?
Rogan.
And Rogan.
Yeah.
That was the same generation, right?
No,
I don't know if they
Rogan
weren't
was way
all
before.
there together, but they all came from Boston.
It's all the
They
same
were
clubs.
but they were within the same couple of years of each other.
Rogan was like 80s.
Was Rogan? Oh, I
Yeah,
don't know.
like
oh,
late
wow.
80s, I think, like 88, I think. Don't quote me. We'll get, you know, blown up in the comments. But
one of the best stories I heard about Dane in Boston. I forget who told it to me, but they were like with the Connection. So the Connection was like the big club before it closed, and I guess he like wanted to headline. They were like, he asked like, can you give me a night? Can you give me a weekend? I guess these guys were like, you know, we just don't think you're ready, but like maybe soon, like maybe within the next 6 months to a year. So then like he comes back to them, say like whatever, a year later. In that year, he has like started to people up in terms of like, I think he did it. What did he do it? Like a MySpace? He was like getting
MySpace and college tours when no one was really doing it. And
Yeah.
I think he did it. People don't realize, I think he did the college circuit for like a while, like a couple of years, 4 or 5 years before he really started blowing up in the college circuit. But he really roped in a generation or a demographic that really wasn't into comedy.
Yeah.
He kind of captured. I don't think that age was really into
don't
it at
think
that
so,
point,
no.
you know? So it was, yeah.
But so after that, he comes back to them, and they were like, he's like, hey, can I do a weekend or whatever? And they were like, yeah, we think you're ready. We'll give you a weekend. He goes, no. I'm not asking can I. I'm asking like, how much will you pay me to come and do a weekend with you?
And
it was like such a cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that story's true or not, but that is cool.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
That's cool.
But that was like, you know, every comic who started in Boston, there are stories about them.
I'm sure
that
there
the
was a
scene
level
tells.
of something. I'm sure there was a level
Yeah.
of something like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
even before them, who came up, but it was the alt scene, was, what's that bald guy's name? I always forget his name. Dave.
Bobby Kelly,
Not Bobby Kelly. No, he's
David
super
Cross.
alty.
David Cross.
David Cross.
Yeah, he was a Boston guy,
Yeah,
too.
David Cross, Janine Garofalo. They were all Alston comics. I think they used to do it over there at like
yeah.
what's the name of that bar that they do comedy at?
The Great Scott.
I think they may
Closed.
have done that.
I was actually in Boston with Dane, and we went to this hot dog place. I don't remember what it was, but he said that
Ooh.
he used to come here after like getting paid to do like small gigs when he first started, because he'd be like, I got money in my hand, I'm gonna go get a hot dog or something like that. So he took me to like
I love that.
this hot dog. Yeah, it was a really cool story. And went to what else did I do with him? About when did the Red Sox go to the World Series last?
04 and 07, and I think
Like, was it like
11
13
maybe?
or
13 maybe?
I should know this year. I don't know, 13 or 14 when they went to the. So we went to Game 7 of the not the World Series,
The
of
ALCS.
The ALCS.
Yeah.
We got there late. We went to we got ushered in. They opened up. They had everything like closed off. They opened it up for us. We drove in, and we went to the owner's box and we sat with the owner during and they won to go to the World
Who's the owner of the
Series.
Sox?
I forget.
I should know all these.
I don't know
people's
any
names.
of it. I don't know any of
That is wild.
So then we just watched it from the box, and they had a comeback win. And they
Wait,
had
was
a
this
comeback win.
was this the first time they won, or this is like
No, this is like 2000.
the most recent?
Yeah, this is the most recent.
Shit,
13 maybe. I had to. I'm trying to think. Sometime at 13 or 14. And you know who was with us in the box? And I didn't realize it, but it was also Alex Edelman was with us in the box because he had known people there. So he happened to just be there. So we were all chilling in the box and with the owner and it was really wild. And then we actually went and partied with the team after.
Get
the closed
fuck
bar,
outta here.
and they were all coming up to Dame being like, dude, no way, we're such huge fans. And I was like, this is crazy.
Get out.
Yeah.
It's like you guys are going to the World Series and you
Yeah.
want to talk to this guy?
It was really wild.
Crazy.
It was like it was a crazy. And another time we went to the Boston Strong concert. He was performing. Do you remember that, the Boston Strong?
I remember that well.
Yeah, and I was there with him, and it was really wild.
Why do you say that like that?
Dude, one of my favorite things ever was Sean Donovan went to Boston Comedy Festival.
yeah.
This kid was a super funny guy. We came up together. We're very different. Like he went hardcore communist, but we got along because we both believed in the same conspiracies. Just he went different ways. And he like did this rant about Boston, and it ended in Boston Strong at the Comedy Fest, which people took so serious. He killed it. Brought down the house. They were enraged because you didn't take. He's like basically shitting on the whole comedy scene and the Boston Comedy Festival. And I'll just never forget because he ended, that was his line, like, yeah, Boston strong. Or like, Boston strong, Boston wrong.
Oh, man.
Something like that. It was so funny.
That turns off people. So you went, was this the one at the Garden?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were hanging out with, and I got pictures of it with Steven Tyler.
Crazy.
Obviously Donnie Wahlberg, like whoever was there, and we were just like, it was really great. And Steven Tyler, like the nicest guy ever, like the most, just what's up, what's going on? We're hanging out, just like,
How was Donnie Wahlberg?
funny. New Kids on the Block, they're funny.
Yeah, they're like Dorchester guys. So they're like kind of
funny.
like, I'm sure they're funny Boston guys.
I just rewatched Entourage, so I'm
They're wild. They're wild guys. It's just like these guys have.
That's
like,
Johnny Drama. That's based on Donnie.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Johnny Drama is Donnie. He's the one who had made it. He was the New Kids on the Block.
Made it and then
Before Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch and all the rest of it.
So yeah, dude, that is wild. What is it like to travel? Because at that point, are you doing private jets? Are you like with him?
No,
or is it,
no,
like,
no.
Buses?
No. We were. You know what? I think that was. I actually think I had, because I was going back to New York a lot. I got a weekly. This must have been 2014, and the other thing must have been 2013. Because I got a weekly Laugh Factory show in 2014. I was a 4-year comic, and I got a weekly show there.
Yeah.
So that time period between 2014 2018, I was also in a serious relationship. I didn't go back to New York as much. I was also working a ton, so I was touring a little bit, whatever. So though I wasn't frequenting, but before that, I was like fairly bi-coastal. So I think I had already, like, for those, I think I was going to be in New York anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of met up in Boston. But yeah, the Just for Laughs tour is obviously just for laughs, but we flew everywhere, which was, they weren't all long flights, but some of them would be, because, you're driving, Canada is so spread out. So some of these places you're going to, you're flying to the airport, and it's like a 2-hour drive to the hotel after. So
Yeah.
sometimes it wasn't like the flight that was that bad. It was like, then after that, the first arena I played, we flew from LA to, where did we play first? I don't remember where it was, but wherever we flew into, I got to look back on the schedule. I should have been prepared for this, but I didn't know you were going to ask me this. So in my defense,
We're a little loose here. We don't care.
Yeah,
We just want the
So
good-
we flew
That's
in.
what we say. Dates, times. It could all be as long as the story's
Dude, I could
true.
be like
but who
10 years
knows?
off in my dates. I'm way off on times.
But it was such a long flight from LA to where we flew, and it was all the way east coast of Canada. I'll tell you that.
Okay, like Newfoundland,
No, it was
Nova
like
Scotia?
Nova Scotia.
no.
Yes.
So what's something that's close? I feel like it was
Montreal?
close to Montreal. It was something that was close to Montreal. But wherever we flew in, long flight.
Yeah.
I got my back hurts because it's like I'm a tall guy, and then we had to get in. We got in like a truck, and we drove about 2 hours to the arena, where it's November, so it's freezing. And they're like, you can shower in the arena, so in the locker room if you want, but it was like freezing. And I was like, no, I'm good. So I didn't get to shower or anything, and I had a headache. And then they were like, all right. And then I had to go out and play to like 7,000 people, like with a headache. And like, but honestly, it was the best first arena experience.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was able to think. Because like I was also tired and I didn't want to have a coffee because I knew what that would do. So I actually had a great first experience. Because I think, sometimes when you're not able to think as much and you're a little bit like, you get on stage and just like, I'm going to go through it. Like if I would have been like ready for it, I feel like I would have been way more nervous. So because like my upper back hurt and I had a headache, I was like, whatever. And I just went up and it was great. So it was probably actually for the better in a weird way.
360 style?
No.
Okay,
most of it, I think it was most...
I don't like the 360 myself.
Right. We did
Oh yeah, Mike, you don't like performing in an arena in the 360 round?
I have performed 360. Washington Square Park, baby. Middle of COVID, I did it like 3 times. I got screamed at by women. They're like, "Don't talk to us." And my buddy was like all about it. Dude. I was like, "I don't want to do this." He's like, "You got to do it. It's the way to go." I did it like 3 times.
Yeah, man.
So funny.
I get that you wouldn't like the round when your only experience is Washington Square Park.
Yeah. It's
like that's so funny. Thank you.
It's an open air weed market now. I don't even know if comedy's allowed.
But I say touring like that, people think it's like glamorous. That's hard.
I imagine because you don't think about that. The flight with then the drive, and you sometimes don't even get to go to the hotel. It's just straight to the arena.
I mean, I was like when we got back.
Tough, yeah.
I remember he said, hey, take it easy for a little while, because you might get a little like, mentally you need some time to like kind of, chill out. And I remember getting like kind of depressed, like for like a couple days after I started getting depressed for like a week or so, like really depressed. And I was like, oh, so he's talking about you have to like take it easy because it's a lot on your body. Because you're not. And we were in nice hotels too, so I wasn't. We weren't schlepping it. Was it
slumming?
No,
schlubbing it.
Schlep around.
Yeah, schlepping.
Schlep.
Yeah.
It wasn't. We weren't schlepping around. It was nice.
Yeah.
And I was tired. I was exhausted at the end of it, and it was like, wow, this is like real intense. So when I got back, it was like the adrenaline of like playing these giant shows every night and traveling. It was like, whoa, it's a hard life.
Damn. What was the so then knowing him, I know that you've, get into that, but like what was like the LA party scene like with that, like especially like I said, I've been watching Entourage again and I'm just like getting sucked into that celebrity lifestyle, which is so like, superficial and
which
shitty,
I also feel like
it is cool.
It isn't even like it's cooler now because it's kind of fallen apart since.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You were there when it was still intact.
Yeah, no, I was there when it was like, it was fun, man. I had some, and I will continue to because I'm not done in LA. I'll still go back a lot. But I had some already like my best times there. I mean, partying. Like, look, I didn't drink like. I had a lot of friends that didn't really drink.
Yeah,
I didn't really drink like a ton. I partied sometimes, like, but I went out a lot. It would just be like, the party scene in LA is like things close early. So like you'll go to like a nightclub maybe or something, and then like there's like a house party after. And like you might go to a house party at like 12:31. It's not that late. Like here, I don't actually like partying in New York because it's too much. It's too much.
Dude, the bars close at 4.
I was a big house party guy.
I do like that things close at like 2 there because when you're at 2 at a bar, what are we even doing at this point? What are we even doing? Why are we here? We all know why we're here. Should we all just look around, see who's it's like I'd much rather go to a house party with it's so much more fun. You go out for a little bit. So there you go out a little earlier. Wouldn't stay that long, and then you go out somewhere else. But I went to some crazy exclusive stuff. I went.
That's
to some,
what I want to get into.
Yeah.
We want to know. Have you been to the island? Let's just get it out there.
Have you been to the island?
I've never been to the island.
Thank God.
I don't know anyone who's admitted going. At least I don't know anyone that's gone or admitted going. So I don't know. I think that might have been more upper echelon me. I think I was still in the very
Thankfully for you, because like I never partied while I did comedy, but I was such a blackout. Like I could have seen like I was blacked out, dude, out at the island, in a blackout the whole time. They're probably taking pictures of me.
This is the thing about LA. I'll say this.
Yeah.
People don't get trashed there, I don't think, the same way they get trashed here, because you have to understand.
Get trashed here.
Because you're around people that can help or hurt your career.
So it's like a more businessy.
It's not as fun.
Yeah.
It's very like you'll go with like a small group of trusted people to like an after party after. You're not going to like, and if you are, like, there's guest lists and security for house parties. Like legitimately, like it's like going to a nightclub. Like you roll up and they have to, and then it's like you could get turned down from a house party, So it's like,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like that, but they were so fun, and you walk into some parties and be like, wait, what?
Yeah,
it's
so give me like one that you, a particularly memorable one. Do you have one where you were like, holy shit?
I kind of always knew what I was walking into a little bit. Very, very early on, when I was at TV Guide Network, I went to a party. I was invited to a party by one of the on-air talent. She was like, she knew I was new, and she was like, come to this party with me. And I was like, okay. And I was brand new there, and it was... What's his name? Oh God, he had Ryan Cabrera's house. Do you remember Ryan Cabrera?
Yeah.
What was he famous for?
He's a couple
on the
songs.
Way
down, I saw you and saved me from myself. Yeah, it's a great jam. He used to open for Jessica Simpson, I think. There was maybe Ashley Simpson. There was that MTV show, and he was like the opener on the show
where she did the hoedown.
Yeah,
and the thing about this is, if
he's
you
a
get
cool guy, great musician.
Get into these parties.
Yeah.
People think that you're someone or you know someone. So it's easy to like talk to women. It's easier to talk to women. Like you go to a bar here and they're like, get away from me, because no one knows who anyone is. And you're like, oh.
I don't know.
As you've experienced with me. I can't tell. I just go, what?
We went out after an LAS. I'm not going to get deep into it, but
I remember that night. I went home because I don't drink.
Well,
it was a fun time. It was a real fun time.
I had fun with you. You're fun to go out with.
But holy shit, it was so funny, like just talking to girls after, and John had a little bit of a cold night, I think. It's just
they just don't even give you. They don't even get like. It's not even like we're hitting on them. We're just like out, like they're next to us, like, oh hey, what's up? And they just like, get away, gross man. And you're just like, all right, cool, man. Like have fun. I don't know, So these places would be easier. Like,
so funny.
It would be like, who was at the party that I didn't even know? Like McLovin when he was there. But at the time, I had seen him running around after that LA a bunch, and it was like, okay. But he was there. Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite was there. I name him by their
okay, yeah.
And then it was just like a bunch of I met this girl, beautiful girl there. She's a model, we hung out a few times. Like she was cool. So it was just like I was like, wait, this is crazy. And the house was like insane. And they had like roped off security. It was like
that's crazy too, because like you think like
there was more people there. I'm not remembering.
Ryan Cabrera is like a name, but he's not
back then he was relevant though.
But again, like to have like a house that's like so massive, like I can't even imagine how much money.
It's not massive. It's insane. So like it doesn't look that crazy. It's in the hills. They don't look that crazy from the outside. As actually, some of them don't look that nice from the outside. Then you go in and it's like it goes all the way down layers and up, and it's just like they have cool room. They're just cool. Yeah. They're not basic houses. They're like cool homes. There's like different types of. It's just the architecture is unbelievable. The way that they're just built.
I like that. Yeah, I watched a video of Ron White he was selling his house, and he did a YouTube video, a tour to like try to help sell his house in the hills, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. He was moving to Texas. That's why.
I think he's from Texas anyway.
He seems like he might be.
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy. I love that.
So that was early on. I didn't know. I was like, wait, this is really wild. And then from there, it's like, that's just kind of became my world. And so like now being back, it's like I was talking to a friend, actually this girl that I knew from high school. We were just kind of talking and like just and I was talking about like, and she literally, because like sometimes when I talk now here, it sounds like I'm being like name droppy, but that's just my life. I'm not. I'm just talking about my experience with diminishment. And she goes, not to be rude, but I feel like you're trying to impress me. And I go, I'm literally not trying to impress you, like at all. There's nothing impressive. And I forgot what was said, but it was something I said about. She asked me what I've been up to, and I told her I was like working on this project I'm trying to get out. and I just kind of told her who I was going to send the emails off to. But she's someone I kind of had known, so I just was being very candid with it because I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this," and she was like, "Yeah, I feel like you're trying to impress me," and I was like, "Okay, well, I won't. Then don't ask me."
You know
questions.
what it is though? You know what that is though? Is like, it's, especially like you said, if that's your life, but if I'm talking to you and I'm like, oh, and I'm talking about my friends and I'm like, oh, I'm doing this thing with Mike. But if that person is like, oh, I'm doing this thing with Dane, you know, because he's your friend or whatever, that's not like, I could see how it could come off that way, but I get that you're just like not.
And I'm not going full. I'm not going full names, but like,
if you're like, do you know who? Yeah, I'm going to hang out with Oprah Winfrey. You know her, and like, then there's a difference. But you know, first name, last name, you get it, right? Yeah. Famous person on television. But dude, that is wild. And then so that was the beginning. And then I know you mentioned the show that you did. You told me a story about your ex who you dated, and then can you talk about that? Are you cool?
You can ask me a question
with like Jim Carrey's daughter.
Yeah.
You're cool.
You know, it's funny because like now like I'm back in New York, and I thought everyone knew that, you know, because like
I had no idea until you told me.
Because I'm not Pete Davidson, because Pete was dating Cassie David at the time, and we were, you know, I was dating Jane, and like he just obviously because he's Pete, so like I kind of thought everyone knew that. Like I didn't know no one knew that. Like I'm like it's like, oh, this is pretty public knowledge. I mean, it wasn't public like out there because she's just so sweet and so like, you know, she doesn't like, you know, she's kind of private.
Is
but
she
like,
also in Hollywood like acting, or she's like
a musician? She's a super talented musician. I think. She's not, she's just kind of doing her thing now. I think, you know, I don't want to share too much about what she's doing now. That's not my, you know, but she was a musician, a very talented musician. I'm not sure how much she's doing now, but, you know, she had her own band and it was great. So that's that. But yeah, now I'm in New York, and a lot of people are kind of, people ask me about it now, and I'm like, oh, I just thought people knew, but apparently they don't. I mean, you guys wouldn't have known because you just moved here, and like, I didn't know you. I guess I get that, but like, yeah.
Yeah, when we went out that night, you mentioned it, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. And then I was like, that's crazy. But dude, yeah, I mean, that must have been, you told me some of those stories about just being like on a plane with Jim Carrey. I mean, that's great. Crazy.
Now, when you were hanging with Jim, was this before the beard?
He had a beard. Because
remember, he started doing a lot of psychedelics.
No, I don't want to get into any of that. But like he had a beard at the time, and he would he had a beard at the time. It would sometimes he shaved it, but it was probably during part of a beard era, I guess.
Okay, cool.
I mean, he's probably the most influential comedian.
He's the best
ever.
He was the best
to live.
Let me tell you what about him. He was the best girlfriend's dad. For sure, ever.
That's so crazy.
Just treated me very well. Was very just great. Just cool guy to hang out with. We watched the game. It was just great, you know. Yeah.
How were you intimidated when you first met him? Because dude, listen, I'm great. You know what it is? I date. I'm great with moms. Moms love me. Not dads don't always love me right away. They, you know, every dad that I've met. It takes maybe a minute. Moms love me right away.
Her mom was the best. Her dad was the best. They were the best. Oh, man, they were just so great.
I get a little intimidated meeting a dad for the first time. I can't imagine if that dad
The first time I met him.
Carrey.
There's a really funny first story.
Okay, yeah.
When I met him. So Jane has a kid, and it was at the kid's birthday party. Mm-hmm. And it was very early into us dating. And I knew I hadn't met him yet. And I knew he was going to be there. And he has a presence that just, it's like, you know, it was just like, I before because we were in this room and there was glass windows. Before he started walking by, I just went, what is that? Like, you know, like this, he's got such an aura. And then he walked by and I was like, oh, wow. So he skates, he's Canadian. So he can ice skate and stuff. Yeah. I can't, I haven't put on skates or whatever. And it was an ice skating rink. And they're like, you got to put skates on and come out and skate. I go, Jane, I can't skate. No. I'm a good athlete. I played Division I baseball, captain of the basketball team, you know, played football, but I can't really skate. So you have to put on skates. So I put on skates and he's on the ice and he's like, oh, come here. You wanted to meet me. So I had to go. And it wasn't like I was able to like warm up and skate around for like 20 minutes just to at least get my bearings to where I'm not falling. First time I put skates on in a decade. And I go out on the ice and I'm falling, trying to go to him. And then I went to go shake his hand and I fell as I was shaking his hand and like grabbed. It was kind of like a weird handshake, and that's how I shook him, like falling. And I was like, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm John." And it was just like it was just so perfect.
Yo, that is like the worst.
Yeah,
the worst way to have to meet someone
but also
of that
a hilarious
caliber
way.
and level. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Just like something. Hey, by the way, before you meet maybe your childhood idol, who's now your girlfriend's father.
Yeah.
Can you just do this thing that you've never done in
It's like an
years?
escape room to meet him. It's like,
dude.
Yeah, they call breaking the ice.
All right.
Clip that.
Podcast over, baby.
Was that a pun? I hate puns. But
Yeah, dude, that was a pun.
I had
I'm
to throw it
shocked.
in.
what
I know.
yeah, what an icebreaker that was, huh?
Yeah. Icebreaker. Yeah, there it is.
Oh my God, dude, that's crazy. So then you guys dated for a while.
Yeah.
What and you obviously got to know him. Was there any you traveled with him too? Did you ever
we'd gone to Hawaii together. We'd done, he took me to another Just for Laughs. That's another one. I went with him there. Watched me perform, was very complimentary. I heard him laughing. It was really cool. I did a joke about the grandkid, which I still do, and it was really, it was great. And she was also, sometimes she gets overshadowed, but she's really amazing too. So but yeah.
Yeah, that must actually be. I mean, the child of any celebrity. I
Yeah,
imagine is pretty,
many celebrities. A child of any
Is
celebrity.
Jim always on?
He's just a very funny person. He is just an inherently funny person.
I watched him on it was an interesting way to see Jim. I seen him on the Norm show. And you know how Norm is? He just likes to throw you off.
Right.
Kilter. And I loved it because he's like, basically telling me, he's like, what you almost like chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? He's like, but he's like, that's how he is. He's animated. He had some weird coffee he was drinking with like mushrooms in it, not psychedelics.
Right.
And I just loved watching Norm because he was such kind of in a way a dick.
Right.
And Jim's positive.
And
He's
that's
like
a
all
really
positive.
really funny combination too. Yeah, because Jim won't let you get one leg up on him when you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're not gonna out awkward him too.
Yeah, Jim came up in a club I used to do here a little bit, Dangerfields. Again, another club.
Jim, do you guys know each other? No. You're being so casual about Jim Carrey. Right now.
Jim, he doesn't like playing the 360. He doesn't like
Christ.
playing
If he gets mad, he can quote me he can hit me up in the comments. Jim would be like, never say that again. But he came up in Dangerfields, which another club on it when I got there was on Fumes, and Rodney loved him. And I
feel like every comedy club except for like 3 are on Fumes.
Yeah,
that's accurate.
Yeah,
that's like the era we're coming up. We're coming on the end of the club scene, because sometimes I'll meet, I met Rob Schneider, super cool, funny guy.
Where did you meet him?
Comic strip. He did an hour and a half. But the advice he gave me was that old advice. He meant well. He's like, get your tight 5 ready for NBC. I'm like, dude. I don't even know if that corporation's
Rob,
still
that's
standing.
cool. I'll do that, but in order to do that, do you have a time machine I can get in?
Yeah.
To
you meet those guys, and they're really genuinely trying to be. You're like, dude, it's all gone.
that generation of guys are out of touch. I think some of them know that they are. They're just kind of like. I've gotten some comments like, I don't envy what you guys have to do now. This is different.
Yeah, they have to go in front of NBC execs. I got to challenge Bad Babe to a fist fight.
It's so funny.
Who I love, Bad
Dude,
Babe, if you watch us.
They've made it. Those guys have made it. They don't have to stay in touch with the scene.
No, they don't have
and I mean, Adam Sandler put out that great special a couple of years ago, but he doesn't have to, be in tune with what stand-up is.
Adam Sandler's so great.
Have you ever met him?
Oh yeah, a bunch of times. I opened for Esther Pavitsky on her Comedy Central special.
Oh shit!
And it was produced by Happy Madison.
Ugh.
But I know one of his a good friend of mine, Nick Goosen, who's one of his directors. He directed Grandma's Boy. I actually just talked. He just texted me earlier this morning. But he one time thought that they needed me for a sketch with Sandler, and I've met Adam, and he always, the first couple times I met him, whether or not he actually remembered me at the time. Now I think it'd be different, but at that time, he always acted like he remembered me. Hey man, what's up? How you doing? And it was so real. And maybe he knew he had seen me somewhere, but I mean, I met him probably twice, and then with Jane is probably when, that was when it was like, okay, now I have to like register this guy, kind of.
That makes sense.
So, so Nick calls me, and he's like, John, what are you doing? I go, nothing. And he's like, what are you doing? He goes, I might have something for you. No, sorry, I'm trying to remember the phone call. This is what happened. He calls me, and I pick up, and I go, so I didn't know why he was calling me, but like I just saw him calling me, so I pick up. I go, all right, it's the phone call I've been waiting for. I go, make me an offer I can refuse, or something like that. And I hear in the background, ha 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 ha.
Get the
and
fuck
I was like,
out of here.
And I was like, and he goes, Johnny, and Nick, he goes, I'm with Sandman. And I was like, hey, Nick, warn me about that. And then I think Adam started laughing again in the back.
Oh my God.
And he was like, what's up, man? And I was like, nothing. I'm just like, oh, this is like, I'm on the phone with Adam Sandler. This is pretty crazy.
Holy
They didn't
shit.
end up using me for it, but it was just, he said like, if you're available, there was like a sketch, something that they might have needed me for.
Dude.
But
I mean, that's crazy.
also, nothing's happened in my career, so all these stories are great, but like also kind of sad that like I've almost, landed leads in sitcoms. I've almost been in some, but not even guest star roles or anything. It's always been like feast or famine, like I had a big MTV series with Esther that was supposed to go back when Guy Code and Girl Code was big. It was going to be co-starring me and Esther. That probably would have done a lot for me. At that time, that was when Girl Code and Guy Code first came out and was hot, and MTV had all the shows. And then they, a Perfect Hollywood Story. The head of MTV stepped down right before they had to make the final decision on the option. The new head came in, and like the last day of the option, any show that wasn't hers, she had just scrapped. Even though we had signed on for the first cycle, we signed on for 13 episodes already. Pilot was MTV ordered, already done, and they liked the show. And she just came in. The 11th hour was just kind of like, any project that's not mine, I don't want anything to do with because I don't know about it. So so like that happened. So it's just been that, I've been working, I've been making a living at it, and writing gigs here and there kind of stuff, but nothing, nothing's really popped. So when I tell these stories, they're cool. I got cool memories, but not where I'd like to be.
Yeah.
Yet. So.
Listen, everything happens for a reason.
And also, that's the industry. It's like you never know, and it's all about just having fun through it, which I don't have as much fun as I should. But looking back on it, man, I've had some cool times. I've had some, so many awesome shows. It's
Dude,
like,
yeah. I mean, first of all, that's why the industry, that's why we do the pod, is that hopefully the pod gets big enough, and then Mike and I can both do our Tight Five on NBC.
Yeah, totally.
That's the dream.
Oh yeah, the industry would love me, man.
You're great. No, they would.
I don't know what, they don't do sitcoms anymore, but I guess I would be like the neighbor who just comes over uninvited and just comes in. The dad's always like, I hate this guy.
Yeah, you'd be a perfect neighbor.
I just think, because we started around the same time. We started at a weird time too. Like I think if, I can make every excuse in the book, but I think it's been a weird, like when I started kind of developing and coming up a little bit, I think it was a weird time, honestly. I'm just going to be fully transparent for straight white guys. It was kind of like,
I can see
that we're leaning more towards diversity, which I obviously agree there should be diversity, but I was losing out. There's probably, I had good representation. It was like, there's probably a bunch of roles I should have gotten that, like, I know network notes were strictly, this has to go to a minority. So a lot of guest star roles, feature, roles, I was losing out to because of the way that I looked. So I had to kind of get something that was like a lead or something that was, or I had to write something myself for me. So it was an odd time to break into like acting for someone like me. Maybe if I would have started a couple years earlier, honestly, it might have been different. And obviously I can make up every excuse, but I do think a lot of the guys that I'm friends with that started 4 years prior, they all seem to get on something, before the doors shut. Before the industry shut the doors on kind of guys like me, white guys. So I think it made it really limited for me. And it really has pivoted now to, you have to get big on your own for everyone now. So,
yeah. Dude, yeah, that's absolutely true.
And I kind of like that get bigger. Like the guys that I really liked, and I didn't see them in the city, but when I got aware of them and I noticed they weren't being booked as much as I thought they should be, I was like, all right, well, that's just because these people don't know what they're doing. Like guys like who are now huge, like Tim Dillon.
I did make some big
Schultz.
I did make some missteps early on though, because I didn't want to be an internet personality, and I still don't. So like, I believe in marketing yourself and putting clips out and utilizing all the free marketing we have to a degree, but like, I don't want to be an internet personality. So like, when Vine came out, I was getting big on Vine immediately. And
Oh,
I didn't like it because it was 6 seconds. I didn't really like that. And then also like it was when trends were first kind of becoming a thing, like hashtag trends. I mean, there was like one I started that kind of got hijacked from me and I didn't get credit for it. It was like how you wake up kind of thing.
Okay.
I started doing like how I wake up in the morning or something like that. And I would do different things, how I wake up, and then people started doing it. But like, I didn't really get like any clout or when I was like, oh, this is just people piggybacking off of things. And I started realizing that. Yeah. So a lot of these people that were like, that were getting big on Vine would want to collaborate with me. And I kind of like didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't like this. This is weird. This isn't what I want to do. And honestly, like that, I probably should have stuck with that or like, you know, whatever. But I just always wanted to do stand up and just act. I love the 90s. Like I love the mystery of like the movie star, right? Like I love the Brad Pitt and Leo era. I love those guys. I love Clooney. I love that mystery of like, do we know? I don't want to know too much about the movie star. I want them to be, you know, and the actor and the comedian. It's like, you know, so I didn't like.
That kind of doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
For certain guys. I mean, like, yeah, Leo, all he's tweeting about is the dolphins dying and like the fact that the world's gonna boil, and it's like this is a horrible follow.
Yeah, but in reality, he's on a yacht just blasting around.
He's taking his private jet to his yacht to be like, guys, stop you driving cars. Okay.
The worst thing I seen was what the heck is the name of it? I went with this kid CJ Brown. It was basically like New World Order in the park. Yeah. And it was, they were giving all these speeches. Leo was there and he went nuts. And then it was like, and welcome our sponsor. And it was like an oil company or like, you know, or a pharmaceutical. I'm like, are you serious?
If you couldn't tell, Mike spends a lot of his time in the parks.
Yeah. We got kicked out of this
Park
one
guy.
because this guy, he started heckling Leo and people went berserk around us. They're like, you don't do that. Get out of here. They threw us. You can't heckle when Leo comes on and these like, you know, it's a free thing in the park. I can't remember. Global citizens in the park. It was a lot of, they had music and then they'd have propaganda. And Leo was one of the speakers and he started interrupting him. He goes, back to the music. People almost beat his ass.
That's so funny.
I do love, but yeah, there is no private like lives other than like the A-lister guys of that old kind of
I know people that are still big and that still have that luxury. People that get big and they can still do that. And I that's what I want. I don't want, you know, I want to get to a point where I don't have to be whoring myself out on social media every day for nothing, you know?
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Yeah. I had a lot of trouble on Facebook. I hated Facebook, but I'm starting to really like Instagram and TikTok. I like.
Mike hated Facebook for a different reason. He would go on rants and people would be very upset.
I was the same way as you, man. My rants were not taken.
It was
correctly.
just so. It was
like I didn't mean that.
It was so toxic.
Facebook,
Facebook is.
But Facebook
so
Reels
toxic.
has been doing better for me than anywhere else.
I like the real. I like the real format.
Yeah,
I like the real format. It's more fun. You can do whatever you want.
You know what? They're tricking us into just being on their apps. We're working for them. They're just tricking us to be on their apps for hours and hours a day. They've taken us and gone, if you do this, you'll get a following. And then clubs are like, if you do this, you get a following and you'll get booked. And it's like, but I'm just a slave because like now that they have monetized my Instagram and my Facebook, ever since then my views have gone down. It's like they just are. We're working for them. These are not comedy apps. These are social media apps run by the most socially awkward humans ever. And we're like, this is what we should do. So I don't like that. We're pivoting to this because it's not unique for us. And the internet, they want to see, look, we don't like good stuff anymore online. We're very lowbrow. So like your best stuff doesn't even do well. So in order to get big, you have to be a fucking moron and dumb yourself down. And then you're going to get a dumbed down audience who might not even like who you really are. So are you ever able to actually be who you want to be? So it's like, no, you're just working for the apps.
And they're making money off. You think they're making money off our backs?
As a matter of, yes, that's all that's happening. We are giving them money under the guise of them giving us
for
something.
Free.
We're
giving
not
it to them for free.
Yeah, we're giving them way more than they're giving us because how many people are actually getting big from this? For real getting big. Yeah. Not many.
They put the kibosh on that because I remember when YouTube was monetizing, there was actually this kid, he had a rant about don't call him a ginger after a South Park episode. He was like,
I think I remember that.
He used to get angry. That kid was making bank, and then they changed everything because I remember he got on and he explained it, and
crazy.
So there was a little period of time there where people were killing it financially, and they've changed.
And
that's
people still are, but the stuff that's getting big, is not like it's not stuff I respect. And actually, I think you'd be okay with me saying this. Jim actually said to me, the second they made you guys become businessmen before artists is the second art began to die, is what he said to me.
Yeah, I hate that model.
It's businessmen first. Get your following and then have content.
Yeah.
You should get a following because of your content. Why are people but it's the consumer's fault too, because they're following nonsense. And they don't when I tell people after shows, follow me because that's how I get booked, they laugh at me because I'm good at stand up. Like, it's fine. I'm not trying to be a douchebag. I've been doing it for a long time. I've worked very hard at it. You guys are also very good. I'm good at stand up.
You don't have to be humble on this podcast. Yeah, you're very good.
But no, thank you. So when I perform, people just think, oh, this guy's good, so he must work. And I'm like, no, they don't care if you're funny. They do not care if you're funny. And people get off put. Like, when I've had after, like, oh, what's it like now? And I'm like, yeah, if you follow me, just keep following me, like my stuff. And they think I'm BSing. I'm like, no, guys, I'm not going to get booked. They don't care if I'm getting standing ovations every night. They care what my numbers are. They don't even care if you guys are coming out to the shows. It literally is this trick about just like numbers.
Yeah.
Because I know people that have numbers that don't sell a goddamn ticket and they still get booked. And the clubs are just under this belief because they have followers that they're bringing them in business. And I'm like, no, you're just putting bad comics up in front of your house crowds. Those people are going to stop coming back. So these people are just losing you business.
Yeah.
Like,
it is a good point. That is a great point, actually, because I know that there was, I think the podcast boom started that a little bit, was like the most recent one of like a lot of the people who got big on podcasts but didn't do stand up and then started doing stand up.
It's not the same.
It is good. I'm all for the comedians who do podcasts and then grow their following. I mean that's what we're doing here. But that we were just talking about
hijacked. Stand-up's been hijacked.
Like that Steve-O, guy Steve-O, who was like, and I have nothing really bad to say about him. He's doing it, but like a guy who's like, I'll just do stand-up because my other career is over.
The thing about someone like Steve-O is this.
He's a pure storyteller, and he's funny.
Does Steve-O even really claim to be doing stand-up, though? Because in my experiences, I feel like he's just like, I'm going on these venues, and Jackass was comical, so he's very funny. So it's like, I don't think he ever really. But you're not wrong. But in this assessment, you're not saying I'm not saying like, oh, Steve-O's a stand-up comedian. He's not. But I have more qualms with people that are calling themselves stand-up comedians that don't even have any merit behind their name at all. They're just like someone that just like started, bought a bunch of followers, and now they're like, and there's a bunch of them in the New York scene. Like, I'm a comedian now. It's like, you've been doing this for 6 months. You don't have any ties to entertainment. I don't even think you really want to do this. You just want to be famous.
It is, that's unfortunate. I wish that there was, and it kind of, like you said, full circle, going back to Dane Cook brought an entire generation, made an art form kind of popular and desirable for an entire generation of people that weren't really into it for the most part. It made it so famous that so many people kind of started. He brought doing it.
More comedy. Oh, yeah,
and making it cool. And it's kind of like comedy from like, I think after him became like the new rock star. He was like the first. And not since like
Dice was kind of
Dice and like Eddie Murphy, but like he was the present day rock star for people who.
He was also a little. He was also a little younger and like more relatable.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like guys like you and I could be like, I could do that. Like I could be like that,
Yeah, and I think people saw him. They were like, oh, stand up is cool again, and like it's not since probably like Eddie Murphy and Dice of like a stand up comedian being.
Like his when I was at his thing, and I didn't like this at the time. I was definitely more like I had nothing. I wasn't a big Dane fan or against him, and still the same. But like the crowd there, I was like, this is like a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert.
Oh, funny.
And they can't even name like 3 Red Hot Chili Peppers songs. You know what I mean? It was meatheads getting like they're like chugging beers in the back. But at the same time, I do respect that it brings people out to the clubs, and that I wonder
if he started Karen.
What about the fans?
What do you mean?
You know how Karen's like derogatory to white girls now? Like,
Oh yeah,
he had that joke about
yeah.
He
right?
might have.
He had that Karen
I'm
joke.
trying to think where.
I thought
way
he
back
was
when?
super female friendly.
Yeah,
That's what I noticed about him. He was like a real female friendly comedian.
Oh yeah, I mean
he's
a young, attractive guy wearing a wife beater on stage and fucking jacked, like walking around, and yeah, women went crazy for him. He was like a rock star.
He reminds me of what you just said about you, but I don't find you like him. He's like women would like him, dads would hate him. Like if
you talking about me?
Yeah. On a different scale, like you meet Dane, like the moms are like, "Oh, he's such a sweetheart." Dad likes this guy's a scumbag. You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. So you have the problem with you think dads usually don't like you?
Not real. Actually, with my doing stand up, I remember I was opening for this guy in Boston and doing like kind of the country club, like those kind of rooms, and he brought me to host for him once. And after I got off, it was like kind of a date night thing. Women in their like 30s, 40s, 50s, and their husbands. And he goes, "Dude, I've never seen one demographic of people love someone so much." And it was like these women loved me, and all the dads were just like,
"Oh, I hate my least favorite
remind
crowd."
us of our
my
sons.
least favorite crowd is a crowd of couples, though.
Yeah, that's what it was. But the women, like the moms, like loved me, and the dads were like, "I'm not sure if I like this."
I can have a lot of trouble with couples. White, if the woman is white, like they will looking at their boyfriend like, don't laugh, because I'll be going directly at them.
So that's funny. I the opposite. It's the guys looking at the girls being like, don't laugh at him.
Oh
and
yeah,
the guys
exact
being like,
opposite.
Guys kind of like look. It's always a weird vibe. Not bad. Like they enjoy it, but they're just like not the biggest laugh. Couples also, they don't know what to laugh at, what not to laugh at. There's a lot going on that has nothing to do with us.
Yeah,
it's like a them thing. Kind of,
yeah.
So.
It's a minority of couples with me. It's
like
just
if I'm doing like an early Valentine's Day like couple show, it's like no, thank you. I don't want to do that. I have no passion. This is weird.
Yeah,
I'll do the late night one where it's like, all right.
Yeah. So are you how's the dating scene going in New York for you?
Awful, the worst thing ever. It's just the worst thing. Post pandemic, dating in New York is just the worst. Everyone's very guarded.
I kind of feel like that too a little bit.
I get it, but I just think like it's really a lot of uninteresting people who think they're rather interesting, and
I used to have a lot of success in Boston and kind of during the pandemic on dating apps, and now I feel like the post-pandemic dating app.
No, it's not good.
There's something weird, something changed, and I can't put my finger on it, but I do feel like people are more like reserved.
And everyone's
is that the
tired.
right word?
They don't want to deal with the
Standoffish?
BS.
A little bit, like
I've met a few people on dating apps, and they have kind of like almost said without saying it, like assuming I'm just like going out with all these every night. It's like I barely have dated since I've been back from the pandemic.
Yeah,
I've barely dated. It's like,
I've had much more success recently meeting people in person, which is different from like what most people are doing. But meeting people after shows, meeting people in bars, or like just random situations, friends of friends.
I stopped a long time ago meeting people at shows, unless like it happens. But like the average, like I'm not really super big on that. Like,
I know you have some stories in your stand up, but do you have any good stories about meeting people after shows that just like it either went really well or did not go well? Is a more fun story.
Oh yeah, so many on both ends. I mean, some of them I probably don't even be more specific.
I mean, I know you have that. I mean, I know you have the story about those like 20-year-old girls with the boat.
Yeah, that's something that I will say for my stand up.
Yeah, but like anything similar to that, like meeting young women, because I know that.
Well, this is entrapment.
Yeah, this is the blackmail section of the podcast.
Women.
This is back to you go to the island.
Yeah.
No, with young women or women?
Just women in general. But when I say young women, I mean like
why is that?
I don't know, dude.
Young
well, because
This kid loves relationship stuff or whatever, dating
I
stuff.
say like women in their 20s. Because I'm
Or
in my
30s.
30s now. Women. Well, I don't consider women in their 30s young women. I mean, I guess they are. Because I don't think I'm a young man.
So you want specifically young women stories?
No. Well, dude, listen. Okay, there is a you've talked about this. I've experienced it with you that night after the show where we went and met up with your friend and those two 22-year-old girls were there and I'm hanging out with them. And it's just a different night.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
So what he's trying to say is this. Nothing creepy. He's trying to say like hang out with them. They're a fun age.
They are. I hang out with girls in their 30s and they're like not boring, but it's a very different thing. We're hanging out with those girls. These two women, where I'm talking, I'm flirting with them both. They both have boyfriends, but they end up being like, "Let's go to Taco Bell." And I'm like, "Taco 3:30 in the morning."
Girls in their women in their 30s, like me though, with reason, are like, "I can't have Taco Bell at this hour." They're like, "We'll have Taco Bell all night," and you're just like, "Wow, this is really wild." This is, it's just the resilience of youth.
Dude, I told you that. The bar closes. I'm 33 years old. The bar closes. Yeah. I go to Taco Bell with these two 22-year-old girls. They load up on Taco Bell.
Oh, this happened after a show
with you
not too long ago.
But when we break off, I go with them to their apartment. They're like, "Come to my apartment." Dude, I was shotgunning White Claws at 4 in the morning with these women.
So I do a spot at Stand Up New York, and there's these two girls. They're like, they might have been like 25.
Yeah.
And maybe 24. They wanted to hang out after.
Okay.
Me, and I was like, all right. And then they actually left and then came back. And basically I was like, oh, they really want to hang out? I was like, yeah, let's go hang out. So one of them lived by me. The other one lived by there. So one of the girls was like, I'll get a taxi. Like, let's go. And I was like, cool, we'll go out. So we go back towards, Upper East Side. Mm. And they want to go to like real like collegey places where I was like, I don't want to go to these places, but they like really wanted to go.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. One of them was flirting with me. And then we go to this place. We go to, I didn't want to say the name of the place. It's like I just went there in college. I didn't even like it in college. Yeah. So we go to this place. And I want to go take a lap. And one of them was like, I don't want to take a lap. And the other one was like, I'll take a lap with you. They bought me a drink. We're like, all right.
Nice.
I go take a lap. And the girl I took a lap with was like, oh, you're into my friend? And I was like, because I honestly don't do that. Like, I don't go out. I go out to just have a good time and like whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. I wasn't really thinking that much into it. And she's like, oh, it seems like you're into her. And I was like, actually, I don't, because I actually really wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I was like, no, I don't think so. And she's like, oh, okay. So you're into me? And I was like, I could be. And she's like, oh, okay. So we exchanged numbers there.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the bar. And then I was like, we should go somewhere else. It's like too crowded. She goes, okay. So we go back, and she was going to close out the one that I exchanged numbers with. And then I'm sitting next to her friend, and she's at the bar closing out. And this guy comes over. By the way, ugly loser guy. This ugly loser guy comes over.
I mean, listen, nothing.
Starts talking to her. They're talking this close to each other's faces, and I'm like, first off, maybe because I'm like, made a career, I could never do that. I'm not aggressive at all. Like, okay. I'm like, you got to come to me. Like, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So he's like talking to her, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I see them like exchanging numbers like this close to each other's face, and I'm like, what the hell? And then they make out for like 20 seconds, and then she turns around and goes, okay, let's go. And I was like, all right. And in my head I go, all right, so I guess this wasn't going to happen. It's like not a big deal.
Yeah.
So we go somewhere else, and the girl's like all over me, and I go, hey, I just literally go, are you just going to act like you didn't just make out with someone? And she goes, what do you mean? I go, you just made out with someone at the bar. And she goes, no, I didn't.
Mike's horrified.
And I'm like, really? Dude, what? I'm like, not even mad. I'm like laughing. I'm like, this is funny.
That's
like,
crazy.
How she's trying to spin this. And then the other friend is like, I guess I'm just going to go. And I was like, okay, so we'll go. And the girl who made out, the guy who said she didn't, was like, I'll stay out. And I was like, all right, I guess we'll stay out. And then she was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I could just go home. And then she basically was like, and I was like, why, did you want to do something like not at a bar? Like basically like, did you want to go? And then she basically,
did you want to come with me?
Basically was like, I want to go to your place. And I'm just like, I don't think I want you to come to my place, even though like,
listen, John, that's the game, baby.
So then she's like, I could go for Taco Bell.
Oh, stop.
So I go, all right, how about we go to Taco Bell and then we go to my place? And she was like, okay. And then I was like, as we're going to Taco Bell, I was like, I don't want this to happen. And then I just kind of like got out of it. Oh. I was like, this
Dude.
maybe once upon a time, but now I'm just like, I can't deal with this.
Oh.
I was so just like, she goes, no, I didn't. I was like,
She should have just
But
owned
you
it. Honestly,
did.
should have been like, yeah, I mean, we're not dating. Is that weird? It is a little bit weird to be like, hey, we're kind of like flirting. Let me go close out and then like make out with someone
a
in
random
front of
guy
you
that
at
just
the
walked
bar.
up to her. Was like
That is a little weird. I would be put off.
Within 3
a little
minutes,
bit.
this guy got her number, made out with her, walked away, and then I'm supposed to get this ugly loser sloppy seconds. No.
Was he really ugly, or are you
Yeah,
just
he was.
saying that?
No, because I remember being like, he was like short, and I don't give a shit.
Hey, nothing wrong with being short here
All
on
right,
the pod.
he
We
was
love a short king.
He was particularly short, and I remember he was wearing like, he might have been wearing like carpenter jeans. He was probably more her age, but it was just like a whole thing about it was like, just not a guy who would swoop in that quickly and close. You know what I mean? It was
He
just
knows
like,
the game.
yeah, I didn't care, but I was like, but I wasn't that into her. She wasn't.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, and this is what I'm dealing with in New York. I've had a very, I like my dating life prior. I've dated some badass women.
Mm-hmm.
I've dated some real cool women. I've dated some beautiful, awesome women, and that's good. Like my standards are high, and I'm proud of some of the people. I don't see where to say proud, but like I have some cool exes. I got like, you know. So now I'm running around New York. I'm like, this is what I'm doing now. You're a 6.
You got that
With a
LA.
bad
Dude,
attitude.
you got that LA.
You're a 6 with a
vibe
bad
on you.
attitude. And I'm like, I don't care how bad this sounds. I don't care if someone, know your worth. Know your worth is what I'm saying. Know your value. And that's not my worth. I'm like, dude, I wasn't even interested in you to begin with.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good name for a podcast. 6s with bad attitudes.
That is,
right?
you guys are you guys even 6s, you think?
Dude, I'm a
You think I'm higher than a 6 or
easily,
lower?
if someone thinks I'm big in the industry,
I'm
an 8.
definitely I'm an 8, baby.
I don't know what I am, but people that I
don't know
know,
what I am. It's so
I
funny.
would say
people will say to me, like when I have a good set, they're like, "You're an 8." That's like when I guess a woman's age. I always guess like 10 to 15 years younger.
Dude, I think I'm a 7. I think I'm a strong 7. You put me on stage, I think I'm a 9.
I know younger, I was more appealing. There was that, but now I'm sure my stock's lost a little value unless I really pop and, start really taking, maybe going to the gym a little more and working out. I could probably get some of it back, but, I just still have trying to hold on to a little bit of self-respect. And
I think with the mustache, I'm a 10. But, that's
By the way, I'm calling her a 6. I'm going to call her a 5. I'm going to call her a 5 because of her actions that night.
Rude. You know what it is?
Also,
people can do what
partially
they
of
want.
that.
A little rude behavior.
And also not...
We're not here to shame anybody. Rude.
Yeah, it was just like,
The rating scale for
personality is big.
Inconsiderate behavior.
I think for women, they generally, when guys are doing it, it's mostly looks. But guys' rating system is you can go from a 2 to a 9. It depends on success. Success is big. Like for women, it's different. You're never like, how successful is this woman?
See, I disagree. I actually do.
You
right.
You add
right.
that in.
I like successful women. I'm a big
No,
fan.
I'm not saying I don't, but I'm saying generally when you hear guys say it, it's almost all what they think about looks.
I'm at right, and typically, and yes, I'm a little bit. Now it's not really. It's also different types of look. Like I don't like. Also, certain people are attractive for different reasons. Like there's people I think are beautiful that the average person might not, but I just think they're very attractive, like in the way that they carry themselves or they're well spoken. So I'm like weird like that. I've always been like a little weird like that, but like I'm attracted to success, and someone that's independent. I really like that. Like I did like that she was like, I'm getting a taxi, I'm buying you a drink. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I appreciate anything.
Or
That's
she would have been a 4,
hurting my wallet.
So,
that's
this
great.
girl's gonna be as a 1 by the end of this podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, she also ordered a quesadilla, no meat. That's a 2.
I don't even know what you ordered. I'm not gonna having Taco Bell at that hour. I don't.
I actually had Taco Bell. I had Taco Bell last week. A girl that I met after a show. We ended up going on a date a week later. She might listen to this. Who knows? But we had a great evening. Really fun time. Super cool girl. And we ended up. She was like, I could go for Taco Bell. And it was like evening. It was like 8:00. We got Taco Bell, and then we went to another bar. It was great.
I don't really like dating. I don't see the thing about meeting someone after a show. I think it's like they don't. they have a certain view of you.
I've talked about this. You're kind of like your best, this character that they've seen on stage, whether it's similar to you or not.
Yeah.
It's still a character that they've seen on stage. Like in this, you're kind of like at your best.
And I feel like
in this
sometimes you get like a little. They can almost be. This isn't the right word to use, but it can almost be a little dehumanizing because they don't look at you as a person really. Because you're
exactly what you're talking about.
You're just like this person doesn't care about anything. They're a clown.
Has
Some
that ever
of them
happened?
come
to you?
in. I've had some of the girls that they come in. And they make, if you did the best on the show, they came, it didn't matter who it was. They were going to go with whoever was the best on the show.
Well, you're talking to someone who has been in the presence of a lot of celebrities. So believe me, I have been the guy who has been like, oh, these girls all want the biggest celebrity. Or
that's what I mean. They come in with an agenda, and you're just like a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're talking to them, it does come out, and then you feel like a loser.
That's one bad thing about dating for me is that a lot of people might look at me as a way to get to someone else. So I've had a lot of dating wise. I have had a lot of opportunists, and it's actually been there's been a couple bad. It's been like there's a couple real bad seeds I've dated. There's like 3 that were really bad. One was a huge opportunist, and it was, and there's been other ones that I've nipped in the bud early on, but like they're really like, who can you get me to? I know a lot of people.
Damn.
I had someone hand me a resume after a date once.
That's.
Stop, dude.
I almost respect that at that point.
You know what? Kind of same, but I was like
it
wow.
is. It's funny.
Holy shit! What happened? You guys went on a first date, and then she gave you her resume.
Ordered a lot.
Did you pay?
Of course. And then handed me a resume.
Oh, that's
what was
wild.
What was she trying to do? Was she like a model?
It was still
actor,
It was still when I worked at TV Guide Network, and I didn't know what to do. I literally was like, because it was my. Culture shock in LA when it sets in is like, oh, this place is weird. Like, this is different. And then,
that is
dude, almost
so
everyone
funny.
I know that moves to LA, mostly females, like people that I love, they lose 40 to 50 pounds almost every single time.
Well, that's what turned me off of also dating people that weren't successful yet or weren't on a real path, didn't have their stuff figured out, because I was always like, I want a woman more successful than me, because then she's not going to use me for anything or be threatened by me or anything. Like if you have someone who's confident, that's why I've dated a couple people that have been real successful.
You can be the opportunist then, too.
And I can be the opportunist.
Exactly.
And I can kind of those have been the best relationships I've had, have been people that are successful and really have their shit together. The worst ones have been the ones that are like, and sometimes you get duped. Look, this girl's beautiful. She's turning her charm on. You're like, oh, this girl. And then you're like, oh man, you really are just using me. Or not even that you're using me. You actually do like me, but you're just all over the place. Like, this is just wild. So that's why like I look for, that.
Dude, yeah, I've had a overwhelmingly positive experiences dating. I did date this girl fairly recently who I feel like was using me to almost just like, she just liked going to nice places and ordering food and getting drinks. And you know what I felt like after like looking back at it, I was like, I don't think I've ever experienced that where someone was like going out with me to like just be like, oh, I want to go to these places and experience these things. Doesn't matter who I'm with.
I almost cried
I was
on
like,
a date
that's
once.
crazy. I had to think about it. I was like, crazy. Really?
I almost cried on a date once.
Why? What happened?
It was my second comedy album came out. New Phone, Who Is This? And I had just gotten my first direct deposit from partial direct, a little bit from like some of the downloads, like some of the digital sales. And it wasn't a crazy amount, but it was the first one that had come in, and I was like, oh, nice. And I had met this beautiful woman. She's from Italy. She was so hot, and she wanted to go on a date. And I was like, wow. So I was like, I'm going to splurge tonight. I got this little thing that I'm going to celebrate.
Yeah.
So I go to pick her up. She floats out the places she wants to go to. They're all super expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm like, she's from Italy. Maybe she's a little, it's kind of saying, I was like, maybe she comes from, this might just be, what she does. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I pick her up. As we're driving, I was like, oh, you live alone? It's a nice place. And she was like, no, so there's something that they must tell you. And she kind of has like not a real Italian accent. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'm married. On the way to the place. And I go,
what?
okay. And then she's like, but we're getting a divorce. It's kind of complicated. We got married too quick. And I'm still living with him. We're figuring it out, but like the divorce is happening. And I was like, does he know you're out? And she's like, well, we don't really tell each other anything basically, but like, yeah. And I go, okay, but you like live with your husband. And I was like, even if everything you're saying is true, this is a situation I don't want to be involved in.
Yeah, but like I gotta pay for dinner and be an
So
adulterer.
I was thinking like,
and drive you home to your husband after.
so I go there.
What was the restaurant you went to? Nice one.
It wasn't crazy nice, actually. It was Katana in LA. It's like actually I like the place. It's like actually for how nice it is, it's like not crazy overpriced, but it's an expensive place. It's not a cheap sushi place. It's an expensive place. So we get there, and then I was like, so you're from Italy? She goes, no, actually I'm from Russia. And now I'm like, okay, she's a spy. And she works in tech as well, or trying to. But
she straight up lied and said
from
she's
Russia, but like
Italian.
maybe she's Russian, but she lived in Italy.
Okay.
Like they went there. I honestly don't remember the story. I try to block it out. But now as as she's telling me more about it as she's ordering, and I just remember that's when more came out about the husband situation. And she ordered a bunch of stuff, knew what she wanted. Bill was super expensive. I just spent my hard-earned. I wasn't making a lot. Like, this was 2015, so I wasn't making. I had just started really making money doing comedy, so like I wasn't like in a financial situation. I was young. It was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was 30, and I had just really started like making money doing comedy to where I was like, cool, like I'm doing this. But I just got this little chunk, and it was just like, it just felt good to get it, and I just I felt like I threw my hard work away at this, and then she ordered a lot. The bill came. And I really wanted to be like, I think we should split, but she was like, but she was honestly freaking me out. I was a little scared of her because of how she was being, and she didn't even offer to pay. So just because of like sign of the times, I didn't want to I didn't know if she was like insane, because I was already hanging out with people that like kind of gave me the runaround, like be careful.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm just gonna, and I literally like, I almost like had tears in my eyes because I was like so excited for this date and to like spend my hard-earned like, album money on her. And then I just drove her home, and I was just like, the whole way I was like, and in my head I was like, well, maybe she'll get divorced, and then after that we'll hang out and I'll see that. But no, I drove her home, and I think we might have exchanged a few texts over like next month or so. And that was it.
God. And so nothing happened. She didn't invite you in to meet her husband?
And she was beautiful too.
That's crazy. Ugh. It just goes to show, beauty doesn't always matter.
No, it
personalities.
Doesn't. No, it doesn't. But personality makes it,
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, how you feeling, dude? We're at an hour 20. We usually do about an hour.
So, wow. Yeah, I can go for a long time.
You feeling good?
I'm great. Yeah.
You have anything else that you wanted to talk about
upcoming
before?
shows, albums, anything you want to plug?
Well, yeah, we get to that. But anything you want to, if you feel good, we can end. But if you got anything else, we can do like
anything else.
You
want to ask me a question or two? Or I've got a million. I've got a million.
Yeah, dude, we can have you back on too. We'd love to have you back. Yeah. So yeah, you feel good?
Yeah, I feel great.
I mean, yeah, I'm feeling good too. I think this is great.
Yeah, we had a lot of good. We covered a lot in here. There's a lot. This is this is a lot going on in this podcast.
I love it, dude.
Thanks, you guys are great.
Yeah, tell them where they can find you, what they can
send help. You can find John Campanelli 1 social media. Does anyone listen to this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We got people listening.
I'm kidding.
You got hardcore fans.
I know. I'm sure you guys.
It's growing, baby.
YouTube's
up to 5,000.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So John Campanelli 1 on social media. Let's see. I'm at Stand Up New York on the 20th for. I'm bringing my. I'm doing the comedy trend with John Campanelli. See who's trending in comedy. That was my Laugh Factory show. I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna try it out at Stand Up New York.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm in Boston. That you kind of helped me out with.
Oh yeah, the Hideout, right?
July 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And then just around. I'm around. Look, I post my stuff. So just best thing is just social media. John Campanelli 1, and keep listening to these guys' podcasts. These are good dudes, good funny dudes.
Thank you.
Yeah, funny dudes. Yeah.
Thank you, dude. Thanks for doing it, Michael. Hit him.
Mike T. Kerrigan, Instagram.
Dylan Krasinski on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. The clips are out. Every single day I post a clip from the pods. Episodes are out every single Wednesday. Rate, review, and subscribe. God damn it. Keep fighting in the comments, baby. We love it.
Yeah.
Sip that tea.
Love those comments.
We'll see you next week, baby.
Yeah.
Good night.